All right. Well, welcome to a several-part series that we're going to do with the Chief Analytics Officer for Chorus, Kevin, who's going to walk us through how he would do a driver analysis using a real-life example from a client. Oftentimes, it'll be easy to look at human feedback and say that the thing that you scored poorest on should be the thing that you focus on improving to improve satisfaction. That's only natural. However, that's not always correct. So Kevin's going to show us why going through a more complex analysis is usually very beneficial and helpful.
Cool. Thanks, Drew. So we're going to talk about the Springfield Transit Authority, and of course, the name has been changed to hide the actual client. So we asked an overall satisfaction survey. It's a very short survey. Asked for overall satisfaction as well as rating 5 attributes, and we'll get to those. We also took note of what region of the city the respondent lived in, whether it was the Northwest or the Southeast, as well as the respondent's travel tier. So whether they didn't have a travel tier, silver, gold, or platinum. And so we're going to go through this example, and essentially for this session, we're going to highlight what is typically done and typically concluded, and then set up for why that may not necessarily be the most robust analysis and giving the correct insight, as Drew alluded to. So in this particular survey, the overall experience, most of the respondents were satisfied, well over 80%. About half of the total satisfied were strongly, half of the total satisfied were slightly. You had a few neutrals, and about 5% of the respondents were slightly dissatisfied or strongly dissatisfied. So a natural question is why might have certain respondents been satisfied? Why might have certain respondents been dissatisfied? And that's actually two sides of the same coin. So in order to understand satisfaction, the data that we collected will explain both sides of that coin. And so when we move to the actual attribute ratings, we see the breadth of system, cleanliness, fare, staff, and timeliness. So these are in alphabetical order just for convenience. And we'll see that the fare, yes.
A quick question. Obviously, the questions in this survey were not just how is the breadth of the system, how clean was my train, what was the fare. There was some more nuance to the actual questions themselves, correct?
Yeah, so they were also rated on a Likert scale from strongly dissatisfied and to strongly satisfied, and so we reinterpreted those questions and answers from a 1 to 5 numerical scale, and we're presuming a linear relationship here, which in a more advanced analysis we may presume something different, but for now it'll still highlight some of the pitfalls and some of the insights throughout this series.
Excellent.
So on this particular example, fare looks to be rated the highest, with by far the longest or the largest percentage of respondents answered strongly or slightly satisfied. The average there was about 4.5. Two of the lowest rating attributes were breadth of system and staff. Breadth of system rated the lowest at about 3.4, staff rated at 3.6. And so one may come to this and say, okay, well, it looks like most of the people were satisfied overall. So it looks as though because fare was rated the highest, that must be pulling the satisfaction up. And because breadth of system and staff were rated lowest, that must be pulling things down.
That's what I would think.
Yes, exactly. That's
that you would want to improve.
Exactly.
Right on fare.
Exactly. So typically what's done is reported to management saying, okay, the two lowest of these 5 is breadth of system and staff, so we have to do something with those in order to pull up overall experience. But that's not how things work. What we're really interested in is not how these ratings for each of these 5 attributes, the levels of those, but to what extent do these ratings contribute to the variance of the overall experience. And so, if fare is the highest of the attributes, does that really contribute to the overall satisfaction or not? What about staff and cleanliness? Those are two of the middle ones that are neither high nor low. Do they have any impact on overall experience? And if breadth of system and staff are in fact driving overall experience, we would need to know these sorts of things so we understand where do we put our effort and especially our dollars in improving the system.
That's awesome. All right, so we'll set up another video where we'll actually go through, and Kevin, you'll walk us through how you actually did this driver analysis and show us some of those pitfalls going forward.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
Great. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Drew.